Jen. Say hello, everyone.
Lovely to be with you guys. And James, D-list. I've been promoted.
Honestly,
Yeah, you've been in line with the Bachelor.
D-list.
Yeah. We're looking more like Z.
Yeah, we're more.
I'm really glad. I'm glad that I could compliment you guys all in one foul swoop.
Now, Heather, I've got to say, I'm not. You're probably typical bachelor demographic, but you look very familiar to me.
Not at all.
Fill us in, everyone, the people watching at home, and for all of us in our little group, your history regarding this TV program.
Righto. So I went on Bachelor season, I want to say 3, maybe. I don't really remember. I was clearly really into the guy. No, I fell in love with Sam Wood quite intensely. He broke up with me brutally on national TV, whence I didn't receive a rose, as the fable goes. And I then went on to do other such things as radio and TV hosting. And I was one of the sister wives who was more honest and just had a really bloody good time while I was there, as opposed to get drunk and be a total raging mole. That's the best way to describe my time.
That's a TV show that I would watch.
Yeah.
It's been made in Europe.
Sergio, tell us a bit about yourself, mate. You are a producer from some big TV shows. You've got a podcast now. Tell us a bit about yourself for the people.
Yeah, okay, James. Well, yeah, going back, as I say, I'm not sort of the age group that this TV show is aimed at. But, yeah, I sort of worked back in the TV era, did quiz shows like Sale of the Century and produced The Price is Right and stuff like that, and then Footy Show and some documentaries and
I love that show.
comedy and stuff like that.
Absolute classic. That is unreal.
Did the Eric Banner show before Eric went off to become a Hollywood movie star, and now do a podcast with a bloke called Titus O'Reilly. We mainly talk about football and sport and a few live gigs and stuff like that, and wrap it on and do whatever. And yourself, James? Now, we know about Heather. James, your claim to fame, other than, that's a pretty hot-looking Hawaiian shirt, I've got to say. And not everyone can pull them off.
It's funny, too, because you'd think that I'm getting into character for the show Bachelor in Paradise, but this is just a classic outfit for myself. I met John Olb, who is the greatest director in the world, who's directing us as we are right now, live from his living room. I met John Olb whilst working at the ABC. So I did a kids' TV show called ABC 3 Studio 3 for about 7 years.
Right.
So I bumped into John doing that, and I've been an entertainer ever since. So I do a lot of stage productions now, musicals, singing, dancing, and acting my way through space and time. Obviously, quarantine at the moment. Can't do diddly squat. So I put a camera in front of myself whilst playing video games, and believe it or not, people watch me. So that's what I do.
Fantastic.
Can I just ask, is that kind of similar to like, when you watch people either eating food or they just smush their face directly into a bread loaf?
Mm-hmm. It's a bit like that, but not as appealing. It's a bit like cam girls. It's like a sexy thing, but people pay me to play video games for them because I don't have.
Nerds, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty nerdy.
What's your game, James? What's your best game?
The hugest game at the moment is Fortnite. Obviously, you guys should, with 2 boys that they're all playing Fortnite. So hopefully they're reaching into your pocket to buy skins in the game and then spend money on my stream. So Sergio, thank you for your money.
Yeah, no problem.
And ladies, super fans, we have Jen and Georgia. Which one's Jen? Which one's Georgia?
I'm Jen. This is J-Train. This is Georgia.
Nice. And you guys are fans of everything Bachelor, Bachelorette?
Yeah,
right?
Can't get enough. We just love watching it and talking shit together. So we thought
pretty much why not do it on here, right?
This is why we have you. Now the show has started. Are we turning our?
Let's turn it up.
Sync it up. So obviously for everyone in this chat right now, everyone out there on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, we as a collective are just going to watch this show with you. We're going to make comments as we see fit. And we'll take breaks, we will talk, and we will not talk. And ladies and gentlemen, just feel free to chime in whenever you want, people who are with us.
Oh, my God, is he getting naked again?
Now,
is this our mate Kieran?
Are you guys up to date? Is everyone up to date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched last night's out.
Yeah.
I only got the end of it.
What, now,
Okay.
I'll ask Georgia and Jen. What do you
Yeah.
think of this, Kieran? What?
Oh, funny you asked that. I've been trying to figure out my opinion on him, and I've come to the conclusion that he's a total fuckboy. If you know what that term means.
Can you just explain that for me? Can you explain that? What a fuckboy is, please?
I think the technical
Definition.
definition for a fuckboy is someone that
They just think that they can get away with pretty much murder when it comes to love, and they just use and abuse what they've got, which might be, you know, a nice appearance like Kieran over here.
he's got the blood of a face.
He's got the bod and the face, but he's quite a fuckboy. So he's
Are we talking about the white Snoop Dogg? Is that Kieran?
Yeah, that's him. That's him.
And you're saying he's got the body and the face?
Oh my gosh, yeah, this guy right here.
Okay.
He already
To me, if Kieran looks like, if you asked Gianni Versace to design a greyhound, that's what you would get, is Kieran.
yeah.
Allergy, Sergio.
But ladies, you're finding him attractive.
I feel like he's got like the vibe where it's like he's got a good body and like he's got interesting hair and like he's tattooed and he's got that like fun cheeky vibe, but his face isn't really that attractive.
BDE. Do you guys know about BDE?
Wouldn't be that great.
Yeah. And in last night's ep, he said to the group that he cheated on his ex and did it because he bloody couldn't be bothered breaking up with her. So that was the easiest resort. Like, what a fuckboy.
Right.
So I don't
There's the
find him
definition.
hot at all. But Jenny might, I don't know.
And he's got the
Interesting.
thing going for him. He's got the accent.
Oh, lucky we didn't overreact about a date card.
Now, I've never seen an episode of Bachelor in my life, but what I can conclude is that this is the best of the worst, all put into one house. There's not one person going for. They're trying to get together, like Love Island.
Sloppy seconds.
Sloppy seconds.
Yeah, it's kind of like a great opportunity for all the sister wives and husband brothers to get together and try each other out.
And also gain Instagram followers along the way, right?
Georgia and Jen, I'm just getting word in from our producer director that we've got a bit of blur on your camera lens. I don't know if that's an effect, but it's only locking onto one of you at a time. If you guys want to try and figure that out.
It's not an intended effect, no.
There should be.
I think you can see us there, so you just have to have it up a bit.
Oh, I think maybe tilt something up so we get both of you, because otherwise it's going to focus on one of you, and we care about you both equally.
Oh, thanks for saying that. I needed that right now.
Oh, look, it didn't come from me. It's all in my ear.
Now, Heather,
Yeah.
can I ask you now? This, as James just pointed out, this you got close to, I think, what appears to be a dozen people there, all trying to hook up with each other and see whether they can find love, etc., etc. Whereas when you were on the show, you were all competing to find love with one particular person. How do you see it as someone who's been down that road, with how this is going to pan out? I mean, this to me just looks like a potential orgy, whereas as opposed
Would you
to
go on Bachelor in Paradise? Like, would you do this after your first season?
No, I was asked to do it twice, and both times I turned them down because I couldn't get a sex screen done before and or after the show. No offense. Look, I don't. It's not in my repertoire to date my fellow rejects. In my world, it's like we're all connected for a reason by the same person, which means we're probably not going to get along, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're all the same type. We're all going after the same husband or wife. In some cases, some women even paired off together. They decided that the guy was complete rubbish.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, delete sex and all that. Right? So I'm with you on this one, Sergio. I feel like we are literally watching the smorgasbord of let's all just bump uglies and touch each other's bits.
oh, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And just so we can grab this for the 30-second meme afterwards, Heather, you were saying that you turned down the opportunity to go on this show that we're watching twice.
Yeah, I did. I turned down Bachelor in Paradise twice. I was asked 2
You
years.
must feel honoured. Like, whew,
What made them think that you would say yes the second time?
yeah, more money involved.
Didn't even get to talking about money, to be honest with you. The time they asked me, I was dating this lovely young man who's about to pop in, a little bit like a homeless person. Don't be concerned.
Oh wow, we found the new Bachelor.
Yeah, there's a lot of space there. But then the second time we had taken a little break, and I thought that I think they probably considered, oh, look, she's alone again. Maybe she's desperate. Hope for the best. Unfortunately, not that desperate yet. They also got me when I was sober. So
that was
a mistake by them.
Heather, can you introduce your lovely new man to us?
Yeah, of course. This is Matthew Baker.
Hey guys, how we doing?
Hi, Matthew.
Hey mate.
Matthew, how do you feel about? Can Matthew hear us?
Yes, can.
Matthew?
Have you watched the episodes yourself of her season?
No, I've seen some highlights, but
I was gonna say
that was purposefully done by myself. They only showed him the best of.
Censorship is real.
you were the editor. Amazing.
Yeah, great.
I tried to watch a few things on YouTube, but there wasn't that much on, so I only got to see a little bit.
Well, it can't have bothered you too much because you're now shacked up with a bachelor loser.
Yeah, and now he is a total winner.
Correct.
Yeah, look at that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Heather, again, excuse my ignorance. What was your place on the show? Were you 15th? Were you runner up? Did you win? What happened?
I like to think that I went pretty far as a young filly. No, I was home visits. I think he met my family and went, fuck that.
Right.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation. No, I actually didn't have any family to introduce the guy to. So, I maybe he was trying to work out what will she be like in 40 years' time. And he didn't have anything to gauge against. So you're really flying blind, aren't you, mate? Yeah, we literally did home visits, and then he sent me home, and I was like, cool, thanks for that. That's brutal.
You mentioned earlier on, Heather, that you did love this man. Not to home wreck here, Matthew, I'm sure that you guys are very happy. Did you love him? Was it real?
Yeah, no, I fell for him pretty hard. It was a little bit embarrassing. I like to think it was Stockholm Syndrome, but I'm fairly certain that I actually genuinely had feelings for him, which wasn't ideal. So
that's what happens with Stockholm Syndrome, though.
Yeah, you just manifest it. Like, I want to fall in love with the Bachelor. So you're like just looking for it the whole time.
Yeah, totally. But unfortunately, we did actually have a spark at the very beginning. But there's only so much you can hold a spark with a guy when there's 20 other young hot women coming at you. It's like, what do you do? They've all got a personality.
Honestly, I couldn't handle it. Like, kudos to you. That's fantastic. My self-esteem would have crumbled within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. The best part is when they make you watch him making out with other women, and you're like,
ew, germs.
Yeah. You couldn't get that now in COVID-19.
Yeah, no, this show should be taken off the air.
Can you imagine all of them wearing masks right now and staying 1.5 meters apart?
Social distancing Bachelor.
Now, Heather, this is obviously pre-recorded. We're not watching this live. How long ago would this have been, and how long did you have to keep what happened to you a secret when you were on the show?
These guys are booked for the show just before December. So I'd say the crew's probably filming in January. Really? Oh my God. It would be wrapped up by February because filming for Batch starts around beginning of February, end of February, beginning of March. And for Batch, they try to keep it at about 4 months so that I don't have to rush through all the dates. And then
She muted her microphone.
Yeah, you can keep it secret for about 4 months, and then it's slowly released over time. So once I had to make Australia believe that I was still in love with someone who brutally rebuffed me. It was really nice.
Hey Heather, you've said that a couple of times. Did you go on the show hoping or expecting to fall in love with someone?
Yeah.
Or did you see possibly this will help my profile? Or this will make me famous?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. I actually thought it would shit on my profile because I'd already started working in the industry. I was actually a freelance producer for Disney at the time.
Okay.
And producers were like, oh, can you actually just say that you work in finance?
Right.
Really?
Yeah, they were worried it would make me look like I had been sort of planted into the series. And I was like, well, the jig is up, guys. I've got an IMDb profile, so and I can't have a show reel. So, you know, and a series is about to come out with Rebecca Gibney. So that's not going to go down very well if I say, oh, I work in finance.
It's like watching Survivor and going, there can't be that many young barristers in Australia, surely.
I think it's barista.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And we've got our super fans, Jen and Georgia. I mean, you're super fans. You claim to be super fans. Have you ever thought about auditioning? I mean, you're both attractive young ladies. Have you auditioned for the show? Have you thought about going on the show?
You know what? I was so close to auditioning for maths, like, because I work at Channel 9 as well, so it's the same network. My friends were encouraging me to do it. I was single for a very long time, and then literally just before I went to do it, I found my partner. So it's just the universe telling me it's not a good idea, G. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I feel like I wanted to do it to not really to find love. This sounds a bit, I don't know, self-indulgent. But to boost, because I work in TV. I wanted to boost my profile a little bit. It just seemed like a funny, hilarious opportunity to do that. So maybe me and you were kind of opposites. Like, you did it for love. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, but you know what, G? Like, I actually think it would have been really interesting to watch you if you were able to go on there and just go, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to boost.
I don't understand why they don't do that. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, we have Sergio here, who is a long-time producer. There's clauses in contracts, and I'm sure Heather, firsthand, that there was probably a clause that said you're not to mention that you're on a TV show, mention cameras, or talk about money or what we're here for. Am I right?
Yeah, we definitely have one of those. It also had a really solid NDA that went into not disclosing what went on that wasn't shown on camera. And a single human being in the history of TV has ever stuck to that.
No, exactly.
No.
Now, Heather, Georgia's talking about that she came very close to auditioning. Tell us, what was the audition process like? How much did you have to go through?
As in me, I was so close to auditioning. As in, I looked at the submission form online, was going to apply, was going to construct this whole narrative where all my friends would be lunatics on TV. It was going to be hilarious, and then thought, nah, probably not appropriate now that I'm seeing someone new and I actually like him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't get to the audition. Yeah. I wasn't that close.
What did you have to go? Did you have to jump through hoops, Heather, to get on the show? Pretty straightforward.
I don't know. I'd heard from other girlfriends of mine that it was really hard to get on the show for them. But I think when you don't really care if it goes ahead or not, you have a different perspective on how it's difficult. Because it was definitely hard, but I just saw it as oh, cool. So this is the process. It's just like auditioning for a commercial. There's a cattle call of human beings in the room, and you're all looking at each other I'm gonna fucking eat your face, bitch. And then you all go in a room and pretend to like each other for a little bit.
Can't believe Sam Wood said no to you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. You could have had all this.
Is that girl? No.
Did you watch the previous seasons, Heather, before you went on it?
No, I probably should have done that.
What would that have helped you?
Yeah, a little bit. I really went in quite blind.
Who won your season, the girl? I feel like I'd know the girl.
Sorry, say that again.
Who was the winner of your season, the girl?
Oh, Snejana, that crazy, hot, awesome, smart woman.
And they're still together, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got like babies together and they're like totally married and stuff. So yeah, it wouldn't have gone down well if he picked me because he would have been like, put a baby in you. And I would have been like, go fuck yourself. You put a baby in you and see how you fucking like it.
There you go, Matthew. Just a little window into the future.
Oh, it started again.
Yes.
Matthew's about to pull that black cap down and draw cut 2 eye holes.
Balaclava, yeah.
Have you done that before, Sergio?
Yeah, my old days, when times are tough in TV, you used to rob the odd 7-Eleven. Now, Heather, I've got to ask you a couple of things about being on the show. And I know we keep asking you, but you're the only one amongst all of us who's actually been on the program. How much grog did you get fed each day before the cameras arrived?
Yeah, so I heard from a lot of the girls that they kind of got, well, they felt like that's the cat, that's Chandler Bing.
Oh, yeah.
What's up, Chandler?
Yeah, he's pretty.
He actually looks in better nick than the real Chandler at the moment.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. Drugs will do that, kids. Drugs are bad. Yeah, no, yeah, all the girls I heard felt like they were force-fed alcohol, but my experience was different. I said to them, I don't want to drink tonight. And they were like, oh, okay.
Okay. And you had no problem with, because things get fairly steamy and fairly intimate with, cameras being up that close, catching it all. I mean, I know you're on a TV show, so blokes carrying TV cameras is no great shock. But how'd you handle that side of it?
Yeah, look, I jelly wrestled him on my first date. So I feel like once you do that and you've got like ass cheeks like right here,
Yeah, gotcha.
Anything from there is a money shot, let's be honest. So I didn't really care that. Mine was more about just making sure that, any young women that were watching, they knew that they didn't have to, stoop a guy in order to make him like you. Turns out that maybe that's not true. But that was my tactic. I was like, look, man, we're on TV, young girls are watching this. I don't want them thinking that,
Yeah.
I won't make this a direct question to you, Heather, because we've got Matthew there and he's a whole drink down at the moment. But how many of the females do you think were sexually intimate with your bachelor?
I wasn't wholesome like.
I think I asked that question pretty well. So the 50%, 90%.
Do you mean like the guy on
100%, Heather?
Because I know his actual number. What? Yeah, from what I know, he made out with all the girls he went on a single date with. In terms of touching each other up or anything further, I honestly couldn't tell you. I'm not sure.
But you got knowledge. You're a smart girl. What do you think? What do you think if you had to drop in the ocean? What's the ratio, do you think, of girls sleeping or getting to first base with him to girls who did?
70%.
Whew.
Oh, wow.
70. Let's go 70. Let's go high. Everything else from there is a win.
And in the meantime, Matthew's about to shoot out to the kitchen and fill a child's wading pool full of jelly.
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
Now, super fans, do we know any of these girls and boys on this show? Who are your favourites? Who aren't?
Yeah, we were just discussing that this new chick that came in just then. Who are you?
All right.
We don't know who she is, but also there was this scene before with the stage 5 clinger Jamie. Now I don't know if you guys have heard about this guy at all, but he's like, his face does not move at all. It's just like this. He's so intense and he's just so set out on finding a partner. That's all he wants in his whole life, is to find a partner. And he's back on this show, and it makes me so scared for these other women. on there.
Georgia, did you just call him a stage 5 clinger?
Yeah, well, that's what
That's
the
a
show
great
described him
phrase.
as. If you watched episode 1, you would have seen that his title is the stage 5 clinger. Which, I don't know if you know what that means, but it pretty much means that he clings on.
Sergio knows what that means. He's had a couple of stage 5 clingers in his life.
Yeah.
It's a powerful man.
What about this bloke Tim? He got a fair bit of airtime last night. He's the other bloke. I'll tell you this whole thing. If I was going on the stock market, I'd be buying shares in Tattoo Inc. and Silicon at the minute. The way this is going. But what do you make?
Funnily enough, I put money on
Tim with 2 M's, by the way. You can't trust a Tim with 2 M's.
You put money on this show?
Yeah, well, last time I really liked him because he's bloody hilarious and just a bit of a legend. So I put money on Sportsbet. I'm not a gambler, but I put money on Sportsbet, and he ended up coming second. I could have won $500.
Wow.
But he came second. It was like sickening watching the finale. I was like, oh my God.
He came second. It's better than too quick. Georgia?
Yeah. What you want. I come second in this situation. So what we're looking at a date right now. Are these guys free to go on dates if they choose? Is it a challenge thing? There's a kiss? Big kiss.
Kieran selected Abby, I think, for this date, and pretty much Abby's really into Kieran, like a lot, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell that soon. But Kieran's already seeing another girl in the house. So, like, I don't know. He's floating around still.
Is she keen on him, or is she keen on a Channel 10 presenting gig afterwards?
We'll call him B there.
Yeah.
She's like really
she's very sexual.
She commits really quickly. She's like
she pulled back from that kiss. Body language wise, if I'm looking at 2 people in a bar, she pulled back a little bit.
No, she dry humped on TV last season. Like she's like a real yeah.
Openly did here.
It was like dry humping on the beach.
Yeah, dry humping on the beach.
Like the water coming up.
And this is with the cameras on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. She came second.
It was like a 5 minute
Yeah.
Oh, it's wet. Oh, and I'm not talking about the water. Or her. Oh, that's...
This is a bit of a process of elimination, right? Like if they obviously all go for the hottest one in the house, which is currently white Snoop Dogg with tattoos, who I think looks like a guy who works at Coles. That's fine. It's not up to me. I'm here with blonde tips in quarantine and a pink Hawaiian shirt. But surely you go for the best, and then you start working your way down this weird sexual totem pole, this babushka doll situation in the house, because you just want to be in the house. You want to be on TV,
you just want to keep having cocktails in a resort.
Yeah,
for as long as possible
on TV. You could find love. You could not. You just get Instagram followers. I think that's the gist.
And as James said, you're working towards what used to be 4 a.m. in a nightclub. You're not going to get your A-list at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Male or female. Nothing good ever happens in a nightclub after 4 or 5 a.m.
Heather, are you friends with any of these guys on here?
I was friends with Jake Ellis for a little while up on the GC when I was doing my radio job. But then I openly talked about his man whoring on air, and that kind of severed that friendship pretty quickly.
Oh, I was going to say, isn't it a bit tragic that Jake Ellis is back for like the 4th time?
Yeah, it's kind of like that cute puppy at the pound that no one's picking up. It's like, might be a reason, maybe there's some behaviour.
Yeah. And he's aged as well, so it's a bit, I don't know, I feel sorry for him.
Is it going to be like...
Hey, maybe he's just really unlucky in love.
Is he?
Heather, do you still feel? I know that you've done some other things, like you've done the presenting and the radio stuff. Do you still feel like you're most well known from the show, and are you still recognised from being on the show?
I don't have to answer that. I'm not even sure.
I noticed Heather doesn't notice people looking at her weirdly. It was 5 years ago now. So a lot of the time, people will look at her and look at her like, hang on, I know you, but they can't quite remember.
Right.
And Heather doesn't pick up on it, but I do.
Yeah, Matthew, you do, because you're what we call a muggle, which means you're outside of the entertainment industry. So you see this, and she's used to people goggling at her and looking at her. But my question to you, Heather, is when you were in the midst of it and you were getting recognised on the street, I come from a TV background, so most of the time it was young kids coming up going, oh, we love what you do, or parents saying we watch your show all the time. But with you, you would have had a different recognition on the streets. Was it, oh, you're that chick who got dumped? You're that chick who was, having sex with a guy? Like, what was the recognition on the street for you?
I was actually really lucky, and I say this as humbly as possible because it's going to make me sound like a real fucking bitch. Here we go. I was very admired. People were really kind. Main comment was, he should have picked you. I was, when you're really your heart is broken, it's like, why? What was wrong with me? Am I not enough? Why don't you love me? Somebody love me, and you're all needy and shit. So it was quite nice to hear the whole of Australia resound in saying, he's a douchebag, you're awesome. So that was kind of nice. And the other thing was just young women was, I guess, women sort of feeling like I can relate to the way I approach life, but how I approach relationships. In that, I'm not interested in being sexual. That's all. And I say that for someone all over TV, so that young 12-year-old girls can get my tits out and then a guy will like me, So
Your mic is
that's kind of how that's why I got a doll. Yeah, that's kind of how my situation read, which I was very lucky about. But that's about it, and now I'm really awkward
because there must be a lot of people who are affected quite negatively from the show, but I guess that's how you're perceived, and whether Sergio, as a producer, if you find a gold mine, you might turn them into a bad guy or a good guy. Did you see any of that, Heather, that you saw some people get a rough go, or they deserved a rough go on the show?
Well, actually, Sergio, you might be able to answer my answer in that, like, when I was on it, it felt like the way they were edited was the way they were on the show. Like, that was my reaction. So I was like, oh, this is correct. But so many people come out saying that they were edited differently to how they behave. I don't know. Have you seen that happen?
You've seen it happen a lot these days. I mean, you talk about, somebody mentioned Married at First Sight. I mean, they're the ones that come out and say, oh, look, it was nothing like that. It was selective editing and they made me look bad. Whereas what you're saying, Heather, is that the ones who looked bad on the final show that went to air, it was a fairly reasonable reflection of what happened when you were in, let's call it, in the camp or whatever it's called. But you're right. In any TV scenario, you've got to have the characters that are one side or the other, and you've got to have the likeable ones, you've got to have the unlikable ones. I talk about going back a long way when I was doing Start of the Century. You would have a contestant on who was hopefully going to win the lot, and you would hope as a producer that they did go all the way, because the viewers at home would barrack for them and really hope. Let's hope this young mother of two wins $500,000. It'd be fantastic, and ratings would go up exponentially over the course of the week. And then on the other side of the coin, you would possibly get a contestant who was just a really obnoxious, annoying kind of guy, and people would watch in the hope that he would get beaten. So in any TV scenario, and these new reality shows that you've been involved with are much the same. You have your good guys, you have your villains, you have your hard done by ones, you've got your good looking guys, you've got your arrogant guys, you've got your good looking girls. There's a whole lot of characters, and that's the secret of good producing and directing, is to take all these characters and create a program around them, and you're working with what you've got, and that's why there's cameras crawling around you 24 hours a day.
I reckon it's a lot like the glittery gladiator for the
Yeah.
It's like rather than killing each other, we're just dumping each other. It's really lovely.
I have some interesting stories from being in television and working on reality TV. I did Australia's Got Talent back in the day before ABC3 and So You Think You Can Dance. And when I went into those shows, it was when it was fresh and I was 18 and everything was what I thought real. I thought everything that was happening was in real time and I was singing and dancing and doing my best and everything was achievable. But since then, I've figured out what the industry is, being behind the scenes and working in ABC for the 7 years that I did. Sergio, this is a question for yourself and for Heather. Did you ever see some moments where maybe ratings weren't working and you had to send in a crew to do something drastic or major to spice it up a bit?
Not so much from a quiz show or a game show point of view, because the quiz shows there, I mean, despite what some perceptions are, they're taken very seriously, and because they know if there was anything the slightest bit dodgy, that would be the end of the program and the end of careers. And in Channel 9's point of view, it would have been you would have to cop a phone call from Kerry Packer, which you certainly wouldn't want to do on any day of the week. So I've not really seen that, but I can see it with all these something like the phrase reality program or reality TV has been around since, I guess, when Survivor started 20 odd years ago. But so many of them are virtually half scripted now.
Yeah.
Because when they're virtually half scripted, that will happen more and more. And I'll go, you know what? Our bad guy that we planned on, this guy with all the this bad guy, he's actually fairly likable. We need to find somebody who's a bit unlikable. What do? We'll sit around. We'll bring in an intruder or something, and then you audition and find somebody who looks the part, can play the part, and you whack them in there. So there's no doubt it happens, but I haven't seen it much in my experience. But Heather, you would have sort of seen that as far as characters coming in and out of the show. You'd know that some would be there expecting to play a certain role.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious when you know, like, you're being paid up by the producers to do something that will give them some ratings. But because I've worked in production, I've worked on that side of the craft, and they were trying to G me up, I was quite lucky that I could see what they wanted. So I would find a way to give them ratings, but in a way that I felt was either a good message for other people or still entertaining, but without being a total bitch.
That's a good TV moral code.
Thanks, G. I appreciate that. It was hard work because I would spend 4 hours in just one box pop sometimes because they were trying to get me to break and say something nasty.
Yeah.
I just refused. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Or I'd be like, oh, I need a bathroom break. And they're like, just get through this next question. But the next question would take, 5 or 6 rounds just to see if they could get me to say something nasty.
So Heather, you were savvy to it because you'd worked in the industry and you're a smart gal. Do you think some other people were manipulated? Like, hey, can you just rephrase that and say, I hate turtles, and then they're in trouble for the rest of their lives?
100%. You can hear it even in the editing. Like the minute you hear their voice change in octave at a very sudden moment, we can't actually do that. We can't actually change our octave that quickly in a sentence without driving it up or down. And so the minute you hear it go, so blah, 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 you're like, okay, cool. So,
yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, you're mimicking someone else saying that.
Yeah, but it's kind of annoying. Do you actually, as fans of the show, girls, do you find it really annoying when you can tell that it's been edited and you're like, well, they didn't say that?
Yeah, definitely. And because I'm a video editor by profession, I can really pick when they've just chopped different parts of conversations together to make a sentence that wasn't actually what they were wanting to say at the time. They just turned it into something else. They said it, but they made it different because they put 2 parts together. And
Georgia, you would notice too when you can hear the audio of 2 parts of a sentence being put together, and they've cut to a shot to cover that edit.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who was still a producer. I won't say who or where, but she was talking to me when I worked on the show with her. She was a producer on our show. She was telling me about her stint in reality TV as a producer, and she said, I worked on Next Top Model. And she said, I had to stop working as a producer with Next Top Model because it was quite boring. So we had to overproduce it and over kind of exaggerate storylines. She said the breaking point for her was when she had to tell one of the models, she said, look, I'm going to give you a shaver. You're going to go into this bedroom of this hotel room, shave the other girl's head, or you're going home.
What?
And these are some of the tactics that happen behind the scenes, whether you're aware of or not. And my producer friend had to tell this girl to do it. I mean, that's her job. And she had to say,
so
look, you have to do this or you're going home. Plus, you've got the NDA. You can't say anything about it. And she's got to go in there. So when you see these villains on the show, you're like, dude, she just shaved this chick's head to get ahead. Yeah. It's like, well, maybe not. And then you're scrutinized for the rest of your life. But yeah, man, there's some dodgy stuff that happens.
If that was me, that's abusive. If that was me, I would just get the shaver and just my and then they'd be like, shit, well, there's a plot. Yeah. And then I wouldn't have to break my moral code. My hair would be gone, but wouldn't have to break it.
You could rock a bald head, mate.
Huh?
You could rock a bald head. You'd look fantastic.
I've got like a widow's peak hairline, so I don't think that I could rock it. But yeah.
I feel like you'd have a better chance of getting on a show if you were rocking the bald look.
Like punk look.
Yeah, you have a different. Heather, did you find that they tried to put you in a box when you auditioned for the show? Like you're going to be the smart one, or you're going to be the emo one?
Yeah.
They actually had photos up in the dressing rooms. So where we were getting styled for rose ceremonies, which is the only time we're styled, by the way, they had like a lookbook for each girl, each woman, I should say, correct me there. And it was famous women that you looked somewhat like. They put me under Miranda Kerr, and I just thought, well, here's hoping.
Take it. Yeah.
I can see it. You've got that whole natural beauty thing happening. The cheekbones.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Work it.
Yeah, look out, creator of Snapchat. Here comes Maltman.
Can I pitch something to you guys here? I've seen some comments come in from Darren Oakley, who is a dear friend of mine. Worked with him for years. One of the best floor managers in the biz. Also head of the gay mafia. I'd like to know if there was, should there be a gay bachelor?
100%. I'm
2020.
Bring it on.
Yeah, or just one that doesn't have like, girls hand boys the rose, or I mean, I guess in a way that is Bachelor in Paradise.
But maybe have a few more gay kind of.
Yeah, because they've had two females that have kissed the whole 12 seasons. Like that's not really an accurate,
So I reckon not that long ago.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, TV networks would have balked at that and just thrown their hands up and said that won't work. The great Australian public will reject that. It's too risky an idea. These days, I reckon, again, it'll be all in the casting. If you've got a dozen great personalities and they're all male or all female, I honestly don't think the viewing public would give a toss either way.
Yeah, I don't reckon either.
And the people that wouldn't be watching those types of shows anyway. So
well, that's a very good point, Georgie. If the people who would reject that whole concept of having a gay bachelor wouldn't watch a normal bachelor anyway. So that ain't your audience.
Yeah, it's interesting thinking about the demographic and if Australia's on board and who would do it first. But I think it's like it is time. It's 2020. Surely we won't get another show until 2021 and won't be in production until 2022. But maybe this is the first conversation to open a broader conversation into these things. And I wonder if it would work. I mean, it's what we want to promote, right? Yeah. Which is everybody love everybody. And I think a gay bachelor, there'd be an uprising. It'd be good press. It'd be good, any publicity is good publicity.
It's like in the sporting field here in Australia. There's been a lot of talk about, like AFL, for example. There's got to be, just by the law of averages, there must have been a gay footballer play at the highest level, but no one's ever admitted to it. And for years, there's been that whole thing throughout the football industry is that if an AFL footballer came out as a gay guy, he'll be drummed out of the game. Whereas my theory's always been, if he is smart, he could turn that into millions of dollars to be the very first guy.
Icon.
He'd be an absolute icon, a cultural icon in that. So I reckon to do a gay or lesbian or whatever version of this these days, I don't think anybody would bat an eyelid. It would all come down like the same rules as for the show we're watching tonight. It's all in the casting of the people, you know.
Just make it authentic. Don't try to make it stereotypical or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's
it's a funny conversation to have when you delve a bit deeper, isn't it? Because it's also like if you had a lesbian bachelor with all females, you're going to have a ridiculous viewership, and I hope that's not a misogynist thing to say. It's just like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a gay male bachelor with all the men in it, I think it's a bit groundbreaking. We had a message there from Stephen Nicholson. I didn't read it all.
James, I read it, and Stephen's question was aimed at you. Would you ever go on The Bachelor as a contestant, or The Bachelorette? I suppose you'd have to go on.
Maybe I can just change my sexuality and be the first gay bachelor and pull in millions of dollars.
You'd be a great bachelor.
Hey, bless. Hey, keep it coming. Yeah.
Keep wearing nose aligned shirts and you'll be anybody's.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all I need is tats and braids now, apparently.
and a willingness to jelly wrestle on your first date.
Fucking oath.
Look, I think it's really interesting, but I'd like to say that I have 3/4 of the average human's brain, and I think if I were to go on Love Island, Bachelor, whatever, it would be for my profile. I think if I found someone along the way, which I probably would, if you've got 20 attractive people.
I was going to audition for that, so you do it for your profile.
Which I think most of them still do, and that's why a lot of them don't end up together.
They do not own it. They say it's love.
Yeah, but again, I think that's a contractual thing that we would know is behind the scenes. Yeah, I would definitely do it for my profile, but which is funny when but I guess that's the same. I did So You Think You Can Dance in Australia's Got Talent for my performance profile, and it worked, but I knew what that was going on there to do. I wasn't saying I want to go on there to dance and express myself. I was like, I want to be a dancer. I want people to know who I am as a dancer. And it's the same with singing. It's like, you don't sing, do you want to be the next American Idol? No, I just want to sing. It's like, no, you want to win the money and get a contract, man.
Exactly.
Andrea said you'd be a great bachelor. I think that's to you, Sergio.
Jen and Georgia. We'll go back to our lizard skin friend Kieran here. He seems to be getting so much airtime both last night and tonight. Am I reading this right? It's looking to me like it might be a 2-horse race between him and Tim to both nail the girl I want.
I think that he's creating all the drama at this stage, because every time I look on the screen there's another coloured hair of the girl he's talking to. So I think that's what it is. He's creating the drama. Yeah. He's dating all these girls and they're all getting gel.
And they probably all said, yeah, I'd probably fuck him or something.
Probably.
So they put them in to make it interesting, and then they bail because they don't actually find love.
Here we go. But they know there's a camera there, right, Heather?
Yeah, 100%. You can see them.
Look at Abby looking from across the way. She's like,
that could be editing.
Yeah, and see, I just felt the editing. That could have been
interesting. So is there a point, Heather, when the cameras are absolutely off or no?
Only when you go to bed and they tell you when apparently they've stopped filming. They've changed that recently. Yeah, they've started filming off-camera moments.
Like this one right now?
Yeah, potentially. They may have to do that. I told her to watch.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you sit forward a bit, Heather? I'm just losing you a bit.
Yeah.
You have to sign a consent. Sometimes they tell you to watch, like they tell you to like sit on the side in a weird creepy bush and watch, like some, self-obsessed stalker, and that's always really fun. Oh, hello. I looked up and they're touching each other a lot. Now I feel like a creepy stalker.
Surely there's some sexy stuff happening behind the scenes at 3:00 at night when even the corner cameras are off, and even in this one.
On this there probably is.
They're not Bachelor because obviously there's a line at the door. You know what I mean? This one there's different places to go.
Yeah, this one I don't think it matters too much. I think they're all allowed to sleep in the same bed if they want.
Yeah, right.
Richard, at Coles when you go to get your deli meat and you have to like take a little number out of the thing?
Yeah, they're lining up for his deli meat. Exactly. Good reference. Really good reference. Now this chick's drinking water because she's had too much. She's got that kind of red flush going on because she's drank too much. I don't know if you guys are up to date with what I'm watching. What's her name?
They call her Litany.
Litany
because she always gets lit and like acts
Litany.
crazy. But this is a really sad Litany moment, I feel like.
I feel like she's really funny. I wish she was appreciated.
She's lit.
Can I tell you, I feel like I've been living under a rock, right? Because if I was to draw, the man of my dreams as a heterosexual male, I would be drawing this guy with the big jaw and the big arms and the nice black hair who's talking to Litany or whatever her name is.
You go with Jamie.
Hey.
You'd go with Jamie.
No, he seems as a straight male to another straight male. I'm like, that's a good looking dude. If you put Tweedledum and Tweedledee, blonde Snoop Dogg and white Snoop Dogg together, they look the same. They both got long hair and mustaches and heaps of tats. That's not who I'm drawing on paper as Mr. Right. Have I been living under a rock? Am I crazy?
No, it just sounds like you want to have a nice cup of tea and a scone.
Mm.
You just look like men that are more natural looking rather than overtly groomed. Like they're all fake tanned and have their hair bleached. But JP
you ladies are saying that you're attracted to these boys, but is it the BDE? Is it that big dick energy that they're like kind of cool and vibey? Is that what makes them attractive?
I'm not attracted to any of the boys.
I don't actually like any of them, but I can understand why some of these people would be attracted to them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I like Tim. He's the only one that would remotely.
You're saying idiots are attracted to idiots, so you can make do with what's on your screen.
That's it.
Yeah.
But girls, if you had to make one call, one choice.
Oh, he's crying.
Yeah, but is that crying through, she's genuinely upset, do you think, or is that the booze talking? As you said, she's on the waters now.
I think she, as true to name, got a bit lit and now is feeling a bit rejected and, just getting emotional.
Should you go on this show, Heather, if rejection's going to be a problem for you?
She's been on the season 3 times, so that's why she's like having a mental breakdown.
She should wake up to herself. She's never going to pull one in her life. Just give it away.
I think Courtney gets a hard time, to be honest. Brittany.
Yeah.
Brittany gets a bit of a hard time because she's out there and, has fun. But yet Tim's the same and we think Tim's awesome. But we judge her for being exactly the same. It's kind of a bit unfair.
Yeah, that's very true actually, because even Steven sort of pointed out that whole playing it up to the camera thing, and it's like, the boys can do it, the guys can do it, and it's like, oh, he's such a larrikin, or like, oh, he's being emotional, that's so nice. But a girl cries and it's like, oh, she's, it's
that's her problem, yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's automatically sort of put in a box of either being a drunk, a weirdo, or overly emotional, and it's just like, yeah.
But that's what you want. That's your casting call. Drunks, weirdos, and overly emotional. Bingo. There's your TV show.
Do you think that this is adding
sorry to cut you off, James, but we just got a message there from someone who's all over your new phrase, BDE.
BDE.
I think that's going to trend tonight.
It should blow up. Hopefully, I learned about it a while ago. It took me about a week. Someone said they didn't refer to me having BDE, but someone did, and then we worked it out. It took a long time, but I get it. It's cockiness. It's confident. It's BDE.
And also there's SDE, which is like you can tell.
Hold on, STD.
No, SDE. Small dick energy. It's like the same thing, but like when
you say stiff dick. What do you say?
No, small.
Small dick energy.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You can meet someone, they're complete bit of I don't know. They're just overcompensating. They've got SDE. It's
right.
Guys that do burnouts, and you're like, that was cool in the 90s.
Literally that.
Yeah, literally.
What I was going to ask before was, before we were rudely interrupted by this huge hashtag that's going to take over, which is BDE. What do you think about the stigma? And Heather, you were on the show, obviously, if we haven't said that enough, of the how do I put this politically right? The sluttiness versus what guys can get away with, right? So if a female is being actively sexual on a show, she's a slut. And if a guy is actively sexual on a show, it's like, you're the man.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. Like, at the end of the day, it should be about that person's preference, you know? Like, I only didn't make out with him on the show because, I don't think I've got a nice enough tongue for it to be shown in a close-up. And
Who's that? Show us your tongue? Get out. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you're right.
Thanks, mate. You know, like there's this space.
It's good.
Thanks,
just
mate.
to look into the audition process for Heather.
Yeah. I'd like to point out that when Matt said it's good, no one thought of us kissing. That's not where that went.
No. And this show has any rating, so it doesn't matter. Thank you, Matthew, for the content. Unbelievable. These are the 30 seconds.
I'll never get hired. No, but what I think is what does suck is like you were sort of saying, James, it's like there's no opportunity for the women to decide and disclose how they're going to portray themselves sexually. You know, it's either one or the other. You're either a prude or you're a whore. But for guys, it's like they can kind of play anywhere within the mix. But then again, I'd also like we are saying small dick energy and big dick energy, which means we are literally taking a man's sexuality and reducing it to the size of his cock, which I like to point out doesn't always mean all it's meant to be. So, you know.
Sorry again, Matthew.
Small ones. And some of them are as useless as each other.
Yeah.
Very true.
But it's the energy. It's the energy. That's why it's
It's
BD.
all about the energy, guys.
I love that both you lovely ladies were nodding then, like.
I noticed that, Heather. As soon as you said that, Jen and Georgia both have almost stood up and given you a round of applause.
Round of applause. There you go. Not the size, it's how you do it.
And welcome to my TED Talk. That was
Yeah.
Speaking of, I may have to go get some TV snacks out of the fridge. It feels like
By that you mean vodka and gin. Yeah. All right. Fans, we've got Georgia and Jen. Can you talk us through? Obviously, to be honest, John Olb's a friend of mine. I couldn't care less about the show. Talk to us about what's happened on the show so far that we've missed because we're talking.
We've been gasbagging quite a bit, so it's been hard to keep up. But basically, I think there's been 2 single dates.
Yeah.
Kieran has got it on with about 4 girls. Kim has gotten it on with 2 girls.
Yeah.
And now everyone's just frothing over Kieran and Kim, and no one else matters.
Brittany's had a bit of a teary as well.
Yeah, Litany had a teary.
Yeah.
And
That's this chocolate fella. I don't know where he's come from, but he is hot.
The Indian guy?
I think his name's like...
He is my kind of guy. Like,
he looks smart too. I don't have the volume up because again, I don't really care. But he looks. I don't know whether it's the glasses or not. Heather and Matthew, you're both doing it. It's very good. It makes you look smarter than you actually are. Do you reckon? What's his personality like? Is he smart? What's he do for a living? Do you know, girls?
Unfortunately, I think he might be just there as a bit of a filler.
Oh, unlucky.
yeah.
Oh, ow, that's opinion.
No, it's not. I watched the last season. He doesn't really say that much.
He's fairly quiet, but like he's kind of quick and he's clearly intelligent. Not just a glasses reference.
I was like, how have we haven't heard him speak. How do we know if he's intelligent?
Yeah, I don't.
But
And even then, how do you know?
He wears
Now,
spectacles.
for me, I don't know if you guys are up to date, but Osher's walked in the building, who was once Andrew G from Australian Idol.
Yeah,
He's walked in the
fully
building.
known
Now,
as.
this is a good-looking man by my standards. Is he not getting the sloppy seconds of the house? Are people sleeping with him? Heather, what do you know about people sleeping with Andrew G or Osher?
He's happily married, dude.
Yeah, he would never.
Yeah, he's like he's the king of love. Like
It's 2020.
Okay, so what I just did then was create an opportunity for this to go viral, and you've all fucked it. You understand? You just completely honestly, you protected Osher, and we could have blown up.
probably slid into his DMs. He doesn't respond.
What did you say? Sorry, Heather?
Work together on the radio station. Total man whore. Yep, there you go. There's your headline.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Thank you.
Up for it.
Just click that, John Old. Thank you.
And Heather, let's be honest. You know, if he wanted to get up to something, old Osher, he's the bloke who knows where the cameras are, when they're on and when they're off. You know,
That's a great point.
So did he? How often
definitely
did you see him?
A lot, actually. Do you know what? The girls absolutely throw themselves at him.
Yeah.
Like, next level. They're just like, Osher, I'm about it. Sam would who? Sort of slowly push him out of the way. And Osher's just there going, ladies, please, I'm here to facilitate love, not find it. There's a lot of feminine energy coming at him that he has to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Sam Wood sounds like a porn name. Was that your bachelor?
Yeah.
What does he do for a living? What did he do for a living?
He was a personal trainer. He was a personal trainer. Same but different.
Yeah. Porn star. Yeah. Mr. Wood. Yeah, okay, personal trainer.
Now, Heather, you're talking about all the girls throwing themselves at Sam Wood. There's got to be, and I'll throw this over to Georgia and Jen as well. There's got to be a female equivalent to BDE. What would that be?
Oh, yeah.
Good question. I feel like
BOE?
Say again?
BOE? Big ovary energy? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like
body odor energy.
it doesn't flow as. I feel like because dicks have something to do with people's confidence, whereas like with women, like what are we?
Big tit energy?
No, but I'm confident when I'm smart. I feel like it should be like BIF. Big intelligent femme.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna call it.
BBE, big brain energy. I like a big brain.
But just like, I don't know. It sounds super lame when you put it like that, I guess. But I don't know.
But then, but we need the same like insulting kind of thing.
Boss bitch. Is that the same thing as big dick energy? Yeah. Like being a boss ass bitch is like the same thing as BDE. But
Tanika May, she asks, what are you guys doing during COVID? Which I think is a great question because we are all up. We are mostly washed up D-list celebrities who can't work at the moment. Is anyone working at the moment from home, at offices? What's going on?
I'm working from home.
I'm working at the office.
Oh, you're getting into the office. Okay.
At Channel 9. So it's like the news is still on. So I'm still at work.
There you go.
Sergio, what are you doing, mate?
Huh?
Sergio, what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just working from home, doing some stuff, filling in time until things fire up again and see what we can do.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Heather?
I'm eating. Trying not to drink too much alcohol, keeping it in check. That didn't go very well in the first lockdown, so if New South Wales goes into a second one, look out AA. Here comes Heather Maltman. And I don't know, most of my stuff is online at the moment, but I'm literally on that job keepery, seekery thing because my production work all just dried up very quickly. So we were lucky at one point too.
We were very lucky with our government to get that. I think we have a friend of a friend in Japan, and we asked what they got from the government to help them in these times, and they got 2 masks. And we're here getting $1,500 a month,
Deary
whatever it
me.
is. Like it's, we've got it all right.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised, James. I've got to say that the government came to the party pretty quickly, and especially from a Liberal government, reasonably generously. I would have thought,
We're doing
And
all right.
I know a lot of people that it's kept the wolf from the door, and hopefully it'll tide them through to until times come good again.
Michelle's got a good question there.
What was that question?
Michelle wanted to know I think she said, who would we like to see go on a single date?
I think.
I'd like to see
What?
Mary.
Say again. Mary.
I'd like to see Mary.
Which one is Mary?
With who?
He's the she's really funny. She's got the
long
braids. Right. And she always calls people bitch. She's like, what a psycho bitch. Like every single saying. Like she just comes out with absolute classic lines. So I feel like she'd be funny on a single date.
And are they throwing in intruders in this?
Yeah.
They update kind of like computer software. So when they get rid of someone that's turned into malware, they bring in someone fresh.
Here we go.
All right.
They're dolled up. You know what I do like about this show is that you're seeing a lot of natural women in their natural habitat where they're not wearing makeup. And I love that in TV because often we're seeing these catfishes. Like if you ever seen, Sandra Sully or Gretel Colleen in real life, you'll have a heart attack. But you're seeing these young ladies without makeup on, which I think is huge, and you see them at their most beautiful. What do you think about that, girls?
It's good. I think it's really good. I don't know. They've all got magnificent bodies. Like I wouldn't say that they're a complete representation of what all women look like, but it's good. Like, yeah.
It's nice that they're not always dolled up, right, with lights and cameras and makeup artists touching them up. Did you have that, Heather? Did you have a makeup artist assigned to you on the daily?
Only for rose ceremonies. Everything else was completely up to us. I actually didn't wear makeup for the entire filming of Bachelor, except when I did a rose ceremony.
Which Heather, how often is that a daily occurrence? The rose ceremony?
No, they keep it in. They put it in different places throughout the week so that you don't know what's going to happen. It just keeps you a bit edgy. Like, will I get dumped today? Will I get dumped tomorrow? I don't know. But then you get to a Saturday and you're like, whoa, I can finally have some sleep. Because it keeps you like, if your mind's constantly active, of that fear of finding out whether or not he likes you, you kind of you act like a bit of a.
How did you handle it? Because on one hand, you're on a bullshit television program, but on the other hand, you have been rejected fairly brutally. So you got to weigh up both sides of that coin. How did you handle that?
Therapy. I wish I was saying.
And that's like besides your health.
Like the show has a therapist that you can see if you want.
Is that right?
No.
Yeah, and before going in, I had my therapist on the outside.
Yeah, that's good.
Saying that I had to see someone on a weekly basis so that way I could hold everything in, not say anything negative to anyone, and then on a Friday I would get my session with the show's therapist and I would just give her all of it, and then that way I never said anything negative to anyone, was never mean to anybody. All my frustrations came out to someone who was completely impartial. And then I went back to having a really good time.
Was the therapist Osher?
That's perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so. Once a week with each of them.
Was the therapist a bit more good at their job than the so-called experts on Married at First Sight, who have never got one thing wrong right in about 3 or 4 series?
Did they have a qualification? I don't think so.
Yes.
No.
Oh, the 3 therapists on Married at First Sight, they do. All 3 of them are actual therapists in human life. Yeah.
In human life.
But they totally get
They're all
their
pet
life.
therapists. Yeah. We got the forms.
I wouldn't be doing them.
Yeah.
Now, girls, who's this?
I think it's legit.
Oh,
Do they give contestants mental health support after the show, or is it just during filming? Half and half. So
PTSD, right?
yeah, it's hard, Stephen, because I've heard some contestants complain that they had no support at all, but I can only speak for myself that when I finished the show, the therapist, Rhea, actually called me like 2 weeks after and checked in and was like, "Are you okay?"
That's cool.
That's nice.
Because she's still on the payroll. Speaking of payroll, did you get paid, Heather? And what are we talking?
Oh, it's $90 a day, mate. It's enough to cover expenses so that you can exist and not deal with the outside world, basically. So
it's JobKeeper. It's job seeker, JobKeeper.
And how many days is
Not
that?
a new territory for you then.
do you think the show changed who? What? Oh,
Changed you, Heather.
You, Heather. Yeah, do you think it changed you? And that's from the therapist, Casey Green.
Dr. Green, so nice to hear from you again. Why did you cut me off? Yeah, it did, 100%. It basically it's like holding up a mirror to someone in 10 speed. You see things about yourself that you didn't even know you were doing. Like I watched it back and was like, wow, I am addicted to dating shitbags. I need to stop that.
How are you,
And then
Matthew?
Mhm.
How you going then?
Matthew's at a rough run. Shitbag man. Hashtag.
How did you know that that's his nickname? Oh.
Shitbag.
Well, if it wasn't before, it is now.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, when we're in the bedroom later, I'm going to be like, hey, shitbag, what's up? Get all of this. Yeah, no, I am. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. What was the question? How did it change?
Talking about how it's changed you. Obviously, you've gone on to do some great stuff though in media, right?
Yeah, totally. Definitely a career path that I would never have gone down if I hadn't done the show. Like I'd always done acting. Acting and producing, I should say. So I'd made films, I'd been part of commercials, just, things along that line. And then from doing the show, I got into hosting, TV hosting, panel hosting, and radio. So it kind of opened me up to a whole other world of entertainment. But, some of it's been good. Some of it's been different.
Mm-hmm. What's the job now? What's the job that you're going into when quarantine clears up and when everything's safe to do again?
It's called Clothes Washing Happens on a Tuesday, and
Yeah.
Monday to Friday and Saturday, Sunday, so that he doesn't die. Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I've done a few auditions, but like everyone else in the industry, it's like a project is getting greenlit, and then all of a sudden you're getting an email saying, sorry, this has been delayed until further notice because we can't film. We don't know if it's going to be possible. So, yeah.
And now, super fans.
Yeah, that's the shit thing about being in the industry at the moment.
Is it Georgia? You're working at Channel 9?
Yeah. Jen and I both work in...
Louise Ford, you know her?
Oh, what a fave.
Pardon?
You know Lou Ford, Louise, producer there?
What department does she work in?
Oh, God. The Channel 9 Department of Television.
Lou Ford. Nah, I don't know her. I'm in the newsroom, so I kind of only know like news people, like the reporters.
Right, and so what's the dream for you at the moment? You're obviously working in production. Do you want to go on and do stuff like the Batch or something else?
Yeah, the Bachelor's
creme de la creme.
That's the
I went
dream.
to university to study media because I wanted to end up Australia's Bachelor, maybe Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what I want to do. I mean, I think I've recently thought maybe going into the music industry would be more my vibe than TV. Like I've always thought I'd done TV, but yeah.
Sergio, your kid's trying to jump
Sergio,
or something. What's going on over there?
Oh, yeah, I know. He's just rushing around the kitchen wanting dessert or something onto his fourth ice cream. Now, James, we just got a message through from Michelle. Wants to know, is that a portrait of you on the wall behind you?
Yeah, it is.
Military in the 1800s.
That was
So
your village people phase, was it?
Because what happened was, right, I got this when I was working at the ABC. This was a housewarming gift from one of the props guys, right? Yeah. And I thought, if I have this in my house, a picture of myself, which is ridiculous. Any love interest of mine who walked in and didn't understand the humor wasn't my forever.
Right.
So I thought if I have a lady come in and they go, "Oh, that's you. That's ridiculous. That's funny," I'm like, "Oh, we're good." Or if they go, "That's a picture of you. That's disgusting." It's like, okay, well, It's like when I go on my first date, I say the most crucial thing to ask is what your favorite movie is, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm asking across and I say, "Hey, what's your favorite movie?" It seems like a simple question. It's non-threatening. But if they say anything with Vin Diesel, they can get the fuck out. If they say Shawshank Redemption, you're like, "Oh, this is a decent conversation." So it's a really interesting thing to ask. So yes, it's a portrait of myself.
It is actually you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you guys obviously don't get it.
No, from the angle and the distance that I'm seeing it from, the facial features aren't that obvious. So
yeah, because I was young and handsome once, Sergio.
Right.
So thank you very much.
It's not like one of those paintings that have been redone by a French touch-up artist that looks nothing like when they try and fix up one of those. Now I'm starting to
think that maybe I need to take it down. Thank you, Michelle.
No, I don't take it down. It's sick.
Oh, bless you. See, maybe I've found my forever.
Now,
Heather, if I was like a man, I guess. If I was a man.
The last bit of the show that we've been watching on, about the last 10 minutes, nearly all of we'll call them contestants, sort of just lying around chatting to each other, and they're dropping in bits and pieces of conversations. Was there a lot of that going on, or is it a lot of the conversations set up?
It's hard to say, because this show is very different setup to what we did with Batch. So I'm not sure with these guys, but on Batch, they definitely set up conversations. They tried to put me and two girls that hated the ground I walked on and put us in a conversation together and go, "Okay, now talk about Sam." And I'm like, I would never talk to these moles about anything in my life that mattered, let alone the boyfriend we're sharing.
These moles. These moles.
So the obvious question, Heather, is why did these two moles hate you so much?
Look at me. There's a lot to hate. I'm awesome. No. No, I think I just...
Guys, I'm sorry, but are they revealing who the new Bachelor next year is going to be now on TV?
Yeah, they put it up on the ads. It's the guy from Survivor.
Oh, yeah, we sort of knew that in advance, didn't we? We found that out a while ago, but because I saw it on the telly.
He looks like a less muscly version of me, don't you think? The new Batch?
Yeah, sure.
Weird angle.
You squint from a distance?
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't have the shoulder pads that you can carry off, though, James. I'll say that.
I know.
Can't they get someone cool for once? For once.
Contestants.
Yeah. Someone cool.
Just one person that's cool that
Who
doesn't
do you define as cool though?
The only cool one that's been on is the Honey Badger.
So he ruined it for everyone.
And he didn't even pick someone. So there's my...
what happened with that? And again, I hear what's happening in the mainstream. I don't watch the show, and I've almost avoided watching it as I'm talking to you guys, which is phenomenal. The Honey Badger got down to the last two and didn't choose any?
Yeah, he fully bailed out and didn't choose any of them and just was like,
see ya. Went to Bali.
And went to Bali for a year and just sat on the beach and probably drank cocktails and got with heaps of women.
I reckon he probably broke his contract by doing that too.
Yeah, sure. Maybe.
He would have been contractually obligated to pick one of those chicks, would have thought.
Andrew's got a question, apparently.
I would like to contribute to the class on Honey Badger, if you wouldn't mind.
Here we go.
Yes.
Fun little tidbit for you to froth over later and potentially send off to dailymail.co.uk. Whilst working on my radio show on the Gold Coast, obviously we have to interview the next contestants and whoever's getting picked and not getting picked and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Honey Badger comes in for his very first interview in human form to talk to us about what it's going to be like. And because he's a football guy and we had a football guy on the show, we thought, okay, we're definitely going to get a really great interview out of him, right? Because he'll want to be friends with us. So he walks in the room and it's myself, Dan Anstey's behind the counter. He's the one, pushing all the buttons and making us go to air, and Ben Hannett's on the other side. Honey Badger walks in turns his back to me and specifically only talks to Ben. And on there, he is so blatantly rude to me that the two women who worked in the PR for Channel 10, who knew me from Bachelor and know that I'm a really decent person, were looking through the window going, oh, fucking
God.
This Bachelor.
I thought he was funny, but now he's just like, I just put him in that head realm
Well,
now.
there you go. I thought he was the only cool one. You can see my judgment on men. Like, there it is right in front of you. I've got no bloody idea.
Total pimple. Like, he is literally the pus pimple on your bum cheek that you pop every now and again because you're like, that hurts.
SDE.
And this was before he went on the show.
Yeah, so this is just before it went live. Anyway, so during the interview, I asked him the question that you always ask. You know, do you pick someone at the end? We all have to ask it. It's part of our repertoire as hosts. Mm-hmm. And he blatantly turns his back to me and starts talking to Ben about something else. So then in a break, I try to joke around with him about who I think he picks, which was Brooke. And I go, I think you pick her. And he goes, fuck off. I guess you have to wait and see.
Oh.
And I go to him on air. So I wait till we're on air and I go to him, I don't reckon you picked anybody.
So you picked it.
You picked it. You picked
it.
Huge. Now, hold on. My question is, why? Do we ever figure out why he was such a CUNT to you?
So apparently it was something to do with the fact that I'd been on the show and he had like this real kind of issue. That's a good question from Stephen. We'll come back to that. I think it was just because I'd been on the show and he just had like beef with anyone who had anything to do with the show by the looks of it. But I think he went on there because it was good money and he supports his family or something. I don't know how true that is. That's a lot of speculation. So
he did say that a lot on the show as well.
You got bad vibes from him with no explanation, even if he was contractually obligated to give you the cold shoulder, he was a mean dude.
Look, let's put it this way. There was no COVID-19 restrictions on how close we could get, and he did not want a fucking bar of me. He was 1.5 meters out the door.
I feel like he could have been rude to both of you, but the fact that he was only rude to you makes it bad. Yeah. Like, if he wanted to just be a dick, he should have just been a dick to everyone. He shouldn't have discriminated at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the only female in the entire show that he was rude.
Yeah, that's so wrong.
Yeah,
very strange. It was a very strange way to behave.
Stevie's question was very good. Who would you like to see in the house? I think if we could go from Sergio all the way around past Heather and the super fans, who would you like to see go into the house? Sergio, we'll start with you.
Which celebrity?
Anyone you want.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. Well, let me think. I'd come back to me. I'll have a think about this one because maybe Osher.
Dude, wouldn't it be great to see Osher?
I mean, I know he's married. I know he's married, but he'd be
celebrity that you want to see.
So I think the Honey Badger's ruined it for sporting types.
Yeah.
So I think you need a showbiz type.
We want James Matheson, the ex.
Yes.
Andrew G.
Yes. Where did he go? I always thought he was the more talented one.
Same. I liked him more.
He's too smart and cool to do this show.
Funny.
Yeah, maybe. That's what they want.
But that's a good suggestion, though.
Heather, who do you want to see go into the house? Any celebrity?
Kanye.
That'd be huge. Single Kanye, obviously.
President. He can't do both. Yeah.
I mean, Kanye, look at
those. We're going on the Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah, that's a good campaign, like, tactic.
Yeah, vote me in. I love the bitches. It'll work every time.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of those, like, kind of meme culture. I know it's old, but you remember, like, the Catch Me Outside girl? Like, someone just crazy like that. Like, just rev it up a bit. Yeah, it's huge.
Her new rap name is Bad Bad Baby.
Yeah.
What's say that again?
Her new rapper name is Bad Bad Baby.
As if you wouldn't have your name as Cash Me Outside. Like, that's just marketing opportunity.
I think I like the old school, Australian celebrities, like when we're talking about, someone washed up from like Nikki. Oh, dude, why don't we just get the Masked Singer and when they're not singing, put them on an island where they can root. You can't tell who they are apart from their genitalia. You have to guess from their genitalia and a song at night.
I mean,
I like that idea. But
Oh,
on the island, James, but they have to wear those outfits at all times.
Yeah, they've got to wear the masks, and you're like, oh, dude, who knew the sea otter would be so well hung? You know what I mean? It's
What
great.
about Carl of
And
Neighbours?
honestly, that
Oh,
robot bust a few moves in the sack. You know?
Matthew, I like Carl from Neighbours. Carl and Susan.
I saw
Yeah.
Carl at Flinders Street once.
Dr. Carl,
He was yelling at his family to hurry up.
Great thing to say.
Of course he was.
his real family.
Yeah, his real family.
Dr. Carl is married
He
to
was pretty.
Jennifer
He was
Aniston.
unimpressed. He was unimpressed with them. At the
That's
time.
so good.
But I was just standing there, like, "Oh my god, that's Carl from Neighbours."
ooh.
That's like how I saw Jared from The Bachelor at that club once.
Oh, yeah.
Darren,
Besides Bachelor from Darren Oakley, what other reality TV show would you go on?
Amazing Race.
Oh, that's a great one. You girls.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Would kill each other.
Yeah.
or was that Matthew? Did you say Survivor?
I was just saying, if me and Heather were to go on Survivor,
Yeah.
would kill each other.
Well, I mean, only
You
because
probably would,
I'm such a large man, I could actually use him as some kind of protein. Roasting him up would feed an army, I believe. So, you know,
We would struggle.
we would.
I think James and I are thinking the same thing there about the protein, but never mind.
Yeah.
However, you got to survive, Sergio.
Oh,
Did you
exactly.
ever in front of the camera ever?
Who?
Have you ever been in front of the camera? Because I know you've been behind the scenes producing, Sergio, but have you ever been in front? I've obviously do the podcast, but anything other?
I was sort of semi-regular on the panel for a couple of seasons,
Yeah.
just as sort of the bullshit,
Classic.
television sort of reporter thing. Until at the end of the season, an executive at Channel 10 went to the Working Dog guys and said, "Why have we got this bloke on who nobody knows who the fuck he is talking about TV stars when we could have an actual TV star?" Which I thought was actually not a bad point. that he
Yeah.
was making
Now
there.
you know how Jen and I feel tonight.
Who did they fill you in with? Do you know?
Oh no, I think they went back to Angela Bishop, who was a pro.
Her.
Yeah.
Now I just want to ask the girls, what's going on here? Is this like the equivalent of the rose ceremony?
So
I
this,
just
is
look at
this
very-
was the climax of the episode. We're going to
I
find
like
out
to call it-
who
I've got his
stays and who
serious
don't.
face on.
The Rose Caesar.
The
Rose
rose,
Caesar.
The Rose Caesar.
the rose ceremony. So we find out who stays and who's going home.
Litany doesn't look like she's confident.
So the boys are picking tonight, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I was about to
Of
say, how
course
do they
they are.
decide? Who decides?
They all have a rose.
Yes.
They give it to the girl that they want to keep in the house. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Abby has to stay because she's just too good a ratings for them to get rid of right now. So they would have skewed it to try and keep her.
I
Does
agree
that
with
happen, Heather? Was there any whispers in people's ears that you know of about saying, "Hey, I know you want to pick Marshall, but today you got to pick Liam"? Did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can confirm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Clip that, John. I'll put it on the internet.
Yep. Pop that up.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy wears an earpiece.
Yeah, right.
Oh, of course.
I always suspected so, but
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was like live with the earpiece.
Are they fake roses? Have they downgraded to fake roses?
Yeah, they've lost the budget,
Too
mate.
hot in Fiji for them to grow real roses.
Oh, there's some big hoops on the ears.
They're quite sizable, aren't they?
And Abby's wearing an A around her neck in case anyone's
Yeah,
forgotten.
just in
What
case,
her
yeah.
initial is, yeah.
It's part of her branding.
Yeah.
Branding. My bra.
Branding.
Brand.
I have a really bad feeling. Is it Mary? Is that her name? I have a really bad feeling they're going to send her home, and I love her.
I love her too. That's why I said I wanted the date to be.
Which one's
Maybe
Mary?
they'll keep her for like the entertainment factor, like she's the commentary.
So funny, yeah, and she's good at driving story forward, but I feel like the dudes have just brushed her aside, and she's a bloody good egg.
Nah,
It is funny that out of all the times I've looked up at the screen, this is the first time I've seen 90% of the males. Like we've seen the
Yeah.
two kind of tattooed Snoop Dogg ones, and then the rest of them Lego whitewash just in the background.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. Who's this bloke in the light blue suit? Whoever's that same?
It's just a filler.
Yeah.
He's probably a camera guy who accidentally stumbled into shot, and they're like,
Yeah.
get out of
And
there.
There's too many close-ups of Abby for her to get flicked, and they've used her in too many promos.
Yeah, I have a
Was there
feeling.
any
I think Brit's probably gone.
I mean, there's obviously a cast and crew there, Heather. Was there any offcuts of some ladies who missed their shot, or gentlemen who missed their shot and hooked up with a cameraman or a sound engineer or a boom mic operator?
I'll tell you what, at the very end of this, I will tell you a very naughty story. And I'll tell you at the end of. I'll tell you at the very end of the rose ceremony, just before.
Hold on tight, Matthew.
Bingo. There's your promo right there, Heather.
It's a goodie. It's a goodie, and I may get in trouble for sharing it, but it's worth it.
Oh, Mary's still in, guys.
Yes. Oh.
Abby's looking nervous.
God, Jamie's been on the cat.
Who picked Mary? I didn't see it.
It was
the
Indian.
The Indian man.
Okay.
I love him.
That looks like a Disney prince.
I love how they like tell the person who they were gonna pick, and then they're like, "I was gonna pick you, but you're kind of shit." So.
Yeah. And is that something, Heather, that they tell you to G up? Like, hey, when you make your speech, can you say this and this?
Yeah, definitely. They really wanted me to tell Sam Wood in a video that I was in love with him, and I was like, nah, he can wait till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
How'd that work out for you, Heather?
Yeah, not well. But some would say really well, because now I got this guy, and he's like tops. So.
Matthew Wood.
Yeah, Matthew Wood. That's his middle name.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doesn't matter what the size is.
I'm actually wondering now if Abby's going to be gone.
No, Jamie will give it to her. I reckon.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Jamie.
Is there one more to go, is there?
Jamie promised her that he would give.
He promised it to 4 different girls, though.
Yeah, but he promised Abby first.
Yeah, he did.
He never promised her a rose garden.
He went Brittany. Oh my God.
He went Litany.
Shock.
Litany is in the game still.
Is that good or bad?
That's great news.
What about Abby? Like, Queen Abby might go home.
He's got lipstick on.
It's a nice peachy colour.
Can you say Whitney? You can say something else.
Oh, she's gone, skis.
Who's left?
That's so anticlimactic.
She's going
Abby
home.
leaves.
Wait, so they
Are those two girls just been given the ass?
This is really hard to watch.
Oh, that's so brutal.
I think they're a good couple.
Abby.
Oh, wow.
She came second.
Wow.
They probably paid her more money than the rest of them to be on the show.
Yeah, Brittany's a friend of mine. I say go Brit.
Yeah. No, I'm happy she's through, but like, wow.
Yeah, I'm happy
shocked.
she's through too.
I'm shocked that they got rid of Abby.
Oh, there you go. Fuck off, Abby. The tribe
Unbelievable.
has
So
spoken.
we lost 2 then, am I right?
I think so. Abby and the chick. Right.
Why did she walk second?
Wow. I can't believe that.
She is 80% silicon, that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 20% ink.
Yeah. You intruder.
Oh.
It's that girl from The Bachelor who came 6th.
So they've got to bring in 2 dudes now.
Oh, I kind of like it.
No, she's really like manipulative.
He looks like he'd rob you on a train, that dude. I need to change my image.
Oh, she's so embarrassed because it was so quick, and she thought she'd probably be there all the way to the end because she's like a favorite,
Yeah.
and it's just not gone that way.
Did you ever think of that, Heather? Did you ever think that, I need to step my game up as far as content to stay in the house, or no?
No, I said to them that if I didn't like the guy, I'd just head home. So I didn't really care about any of that stuff. Yeah, but I do know that girls had chats like that in the house. They were constantly like, maybe I should do something interesting so I can stick around. And I was like, but do you really want to be known for like some weird thing that you did once that you weren't really keen on doing?
That's it.
Yeah.
Was there many people in the house, do you think, that didn't fancy him?
Oh, yeah. There was one girl who wanted to be famous for making soy candles.
What?
Jackass. Like,
Huge.
Now, Heather, you
Do you know
promote.
that everyone can make them?
Give us this red hot story, Heather.
She works at Coles now.
Oh yeah, we want to know this story.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, whilst in the house, obviously we had people that were serving our drinks and bringing out food and stuff like that. And they were kind of our runners, but they were also part of production. And they were really great crew of people. I ended up becoming really good friends with a lot of them. Anyway, obviously you got your sound guys and you got your camera guys and everything else. Now, a particular person in a department, and I won't say which department because I don't want to get that person in trouble.
Yeah.
But obviously a dude in one of the departments.
Sound department. Yep.
It's always audio. This guy, he was really lovely. He was a really lovely guy. He was super friendly with everyone, but he wasn't flirtatious. I don't think he was anyway, but I could see how a lot of people would read it that way. He was quite young, really cool, down-to-earth dude. One of the girls, she decided that she liked him, and a lot of the girls were joking about who's your backup if he doesn't pick you.
Damn.
Yeah. So one of the girls, and there's a part of me that kind of wants to name her just because she actually
Do it.
Content heavy. You have to contractually.
It rhymes with mech. If you can work that out, it's up to you. So
Beck?
she got a piece of paper because I had like notepads up in my rooms. It was the thing that I did to stay busy was write my films and stuff so that I didn't get bored and overly obsess about a guy who was dating 12 other women. She took a bit of paper out of my notebook and a pen, and she wrote her number down on it so that if she got evicted that night and he dumped her that night, this guy could call her to ask her out.
While she was still on the island.
Honestly,
Look,
what a legend.
Look, you know,
I would do the same thing.
I applaud her. You know, she's just making sure she's got all her options.
Yeah, like
open.
you're not going to just go, like, there's so many other women in the house. Like, you got to keep your options open.
But did she
Did they-
exercise that option?
Yes.
Yeah, come
Thank
on.
you,
Like,
Sergio.
you've got to be realistic.
Did anything happen, Heather?
So she managed to get the number to him, and then production found out about it.
And did it
And then
become
she
like
slept with
part
her.
of the? No, it didn't become the story.
Well, yeah, I think it kind of reached newsstands. Like it sort of was talked about very quickly, but it got squashed very quickly because they were like, "Ugh, we don't want anyone knowing that Sam Wood wasn't the ideal guy for every girl in the house.
Yeah.
You know, every girl wants charming. Yeah, have my shoe. You know what I mean? But yeah, production found out about it, and I think from memory, I don't know, this is going back a ways, and I probably have some kind of memory loss now, but I think from memory, he almost got in trouble for it, but I know that I got asked about it, and I said to production, it was in no way him, so that he wouldn't lose his job, because it wasn't. He didn't do anything. He was just being a nice guy. He was lovely to everybody. And I was like, look, he was nice to me. You don't see me giving him my number. Well, not that you can see.
That's
no.
it. Be subtle.
Yeah.
Joking.
Bitch.
Obviously, guys, the show is over and we're still talking because we're great humans and we've made some really good friends, but we are no longer obligated to stay and talk in our living rooms to each other. And yeah, off she goes. First of all, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Matthew because you know, you guys are going to have a huge chat after this, I'm sure, with everything that Heather has said. But I would like to thank Heather because you had the most inside goss. Sergio, thank you as well, man, for bringing all the knowledge that you have. And our super fans, Georgia and Jen, thank you for being a part of the show. And thank you for John Olb for directing us and producing us at home. Yeah. And make sure you guys, everyone who I'm talking to now and everyone out there on the interwebs, make sure you use the hashtag takeoverau. And I think, hopefully, we'll be back on Tuesday for some more amazing television. I say amazing. I didn't watch a single pixel of it. I'd rather talk to you, beautiful people. Thank you again. And we'll see you very soon.
of industry people. I've been missing that a lot.
Here he is. You happy, John?
Yes, very happy. Thanks.